Hi everybody, Toby here, work at the Ann Arbor District Library, and today I wanted to bring a secret lab project into your home. Today I'll be talking about the one-string electric guitar. Now the one-string electric guitar is a project that we do once or twice a year in the secret lab downtown. It comes from this book here, Snip, Burn, Solder, Shred by Ann Arbor's own Dave Nelson. When I first came across this book, it's filled with awesome projects, electronics, but what really caught my eye was the DIY, as he calls it, the DIY $10 electric guitar. So full instructions are in this book here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this project into 3 videos. The first one's going to show you the assembly of the guitar. The second one is going to show you how to add a pickup to it and electrify the guitar. And the third video is going to show you some cool modifications that I've done to it to make the guitar even cooler. This project is intended as a DIY walkthrough for anyone who'd like to do this project at home, or for anyone who wants a good foundation for the next time we do this project in the secret lab at the library. So stay tuned and join me as we build the one-string electric guitar. Materials for this project are as follows. You're going to need one 3-foot 1x2 hardwood board. This one is poplar. Poplar is going to be cheaper than oak, so I went with that. We've got a 3/16 eye bolt with 2 3/16 flat washers and a 3/16 wing nut. 3/8" carriage bolt that's 1.5 inches long, a 3/8 flat washer and a 3/8 wing nut, a 3/8" dowel. We're only going to need about 1.5 inches, so if you have scrap, you can use that. I have a mono guitar jack, 2 neodymium magnets, a cotton swab, a spool of 38 to 42 gauge pickup wire, very thin. If you look, I can just pull it apart. One or 2 playing cards, electrical tape, speaker wire, and a cookie tin or canister. The tools needed are sandpaper. Any medium grit will do. This is 120. A 3/16 drill bit, and either a 7/16 or a 1/2 inch drill bit. Scissors or a hole puncher. I'm going to use this square to make my fret lines. Tape measure, drill, soldering iron, and perhaps the most important piece, safety glasses. So, step 1 of our project is to sand our board. Playing a guitar, you're going to run your hands up and down the neck of the guitar, and you don't want to get any splinters. So I've got a little sanding block and I've wrapped my paper around it. I'm sanding to remove any splinters or imperfections in it so that when I use the guitar, I don't get any splinters in my hand. Now that I've got my board sanded, we'll move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be laying out where the frets go, where the nut, saddle, and bridge go, and also marking points so that we can drill for our tuning machine and the carriage bolt at the bridge. So we will measure from the top of the board, and we will make marks at 2 inches, 27 inches, and 29 inches. I'm going to use my square to make lines all the way across. And now we'll add in the fret lines. The measurements for the fret lines here are for a blues scale. So we're going to measure from the nut, which was this 2-inch line here. We're going to measure from that. So the first one is 3 5/8, 5 7/8, 6 7/8, 8, 10 1/2, and 12. Now remember, those numbers are from the nut. If you're measuring from the end of the board, you're going to add 2 inches. So it's 5 5/8, 7 7/8, 8 7/8, 10, 12 1/2, and 14. Okay? Now, I'm going to use my square again to mark these lines all the way across. All right, so we have our nut, 6 frets, the saddle, and the bridge marked on our board. The next thing we'll mark are where we'll drill through the board to attach our hardware. First one's easy. At the bridge line, just going to make a dot right in the center of the line. The hole for the tuning peg is going to be a 1/2 inch above the nut line. And a 1/2 inch in from the outside. And we'll also need to drill a hole for the pickup wire to go from the top of the board into the canister underneath. So that will be a 1/2 inch towards the fret from your saddle line and a 1/4 inch in from the outside. So step 2 is finished. We've measured and marked all of our lines and drill holes. Step 3 we're going to now drill these holes out. I'm going to clamp this down. And we're going to use our 7/16 or 1/2 inch bit at the bridge line. That's where our larger carriage bolt is going to go in. Switch out our drill bits to the 3/16 and we'll drill those other two holes, the one for the pickup wire and the one for the tuning machine. You can clean up the edges of those holes with a little sandpaper. Careful not to erase your lines while sanding. So step 3 is complete here on our piece of wood, on our guitar neck. We're going to be drilling into this canister. This canister is the body of the guitar, and it's also going to house the electronics and the guitar jack. So we've got to do 2 holes in this, a 1/2 inch or 7/16 hole on the back, and for the guitar jack, a 3/8 inch hole on the side. I did not mention the 3/8 drill bit in the tools part of the video, but you are going to need a 3/8 inch drill bit as well. 3/8 drill bit. Right in the center of the canister, I'm going to go slowly. See, going slow with this brad point drill bit here allowed me to get a nice hole in the canister. This is the material that's left over that was removed. You can see it's almost a perfect circle, and we have no shards or sharp edges. I mean, the inside is still sharp here, so don't run your finger across it. You can sand it a little bit, but it's also going to be covered up by the carriage bolt and the wing nut, so you won't touch this part, the sharp part of the canister, at any time when you're playing the guitar. The next one we'll do is our 3/8 inch hole on the side. I'm going to drill it in the bigger part of this tin, underneath where this lip is, because we'll be fitting the guitar mono jack through this hole. So I'm going to clamp that down. Make it a little easier. And with my 3/8 inch drill bit, I'm going to go slow again and try and just remove what needs to be removed. Pretty good job there. You can see on the inside I didn't do exactly as well as I did on that hole. There's still metal there. You can clean that up by using a pair of snips to get that metal out. This is why your safety glasses are important. So we're going to put all of this together. I've grabbed myself a guitar string. You can use any guitar string you'd like. I'm using a low E string. It's going to show up better on camera, and I like the sound of that bassy tone. So we'll take our 3/16 eye bolt with the 2-washer and wing nut assembly, and we will install that at the top of the neck in that hole we drilled. You're going to want to put 1 washer on each side of the board. So. We don't want to tighten this all the way yet because this is what we're going to use to tune the guitar once the string is on there. Now we're going to take our 3/8" carriage bolt flat washer wing nut combo. But before we add that in, I'm going to take a circle file, and right at the saddle, I am going to file out a little groove right along that line. This is going to let our saddle sit nicely without moving. If you haven't already, you should cut this 3/8" dowel to be the size, the width of your neck. Little super glue. All right, so with a little super glue in that groove that we made, I also used a clamp. Our saddle is now in place here. All right, now we'll bring the canister back in the equation. And before we put our carriage bolt through, we're going to want to put the washer on the bottom, wing nut on the bottom. This is how we're going to secure the guitar string. So we'll put our guitar string in first, followed by our carriage bolt. Hit that hole. So if you look at the bottom, we've got our guitar string here. I'm going to add the washer and the wing nut. And this one we are going to tighten. As you can see, the guitar string is coming out from underneath the carriage bolt there. Everything is secured underneath. This is the last step of the original build phase. And all we've got to do is get this string wrapped around our makeshift tuning mechanism. I'm going to try the trick and put my hand up about that much. Then I'm going to kink this around. And now, because the back wing nut is loose, I can just start to turn that and tighten. When I feel like I've got it good, I'm now going to tighten the wing nut on the back. And that ensures that the tuning machine won't come loose. I'm going to snip off the excess string. And then I'm going to take my cotton swab. I'm going to trim this so that it is also the width of our neck. And this is going to be the nut. So I'm going to push this underneath the string all the way up to where that nut line is. Can back on, and our first video is finished here.